Hero Club presents Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu.
Welcome to Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, episode 62. I am your host, Wheelchair21, and tonight is technically our Halloween episode, as someone texts me on Skype. Yes, it is the Halloween episode, airing a couple of days earlier before Halloween, because we air on Saturdays, but nevertheless, I am joined by SoundOut12.
Yo, 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 it's spooky time.
We are also joined by the Visible Ninja.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
And we're technically joined by Project, who will make idle comments most likely throughout the episode.
Shut up.
Because the one thing we can guarantee you is that Project did not watch probably most of what we watched for this week's episode of the podcast. Because for our lit list, first off, we're going to be talking about the Power Rangers Legacy Wars short film that SoundOut suggested to us, since it was kind of the only thing that equated to somewhat of a news topic. And then we're going to be reviewing Keita Amemiya's Duology, Zeiram 1 and Zeiram 2. So, that's about everything you can expect for this interesting little Halloween short. Originally, this was going to be the episode where our friend Ben was canon, but we're guessing he's now non-canon again. He went back to the DCEU. He's a part of the expanded universe.
He's part of the Legends now. He's not allowed to be canon anymore.
No, he did. He got killed in what's it called? Crisis. What's it called? Was it Heroes in Crisis? He's one of the corpses there.
Heroes in Crisis, more like fans in Crisis.
It's kind of true.
I mean, if we put him in Heroes in Crisis, I feel like that's a shame. He shouldn't be, put out of his misery in a really bad idea
Unless
of a plot line or a storyline.
If he's not dead in that storyline, then he's the murderer. So
pretty much.
Because somehow Harley Quinn killed Wally West, which makes zero sense.
No sense. Unless she killed him with sex.
Apparently, she fights. She apparently fights Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman in the next issue and wins. So I don't know what's going on anymore.
This is making me really hate Harley Quinn. It really is making me hate Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I feel you. Like that's where I'm at. I'm like, DC, you're making me hate Harley Quinn. What the hell?
She's DC's Squirrel Girl. Think about it. Squirrel Girl's defeated Thanos, Death, and Galactus.
More like she's DC's Deadpool, because I really want her to be Deadpool.
I see. You know what? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's the gist of it, pretty much. But nevertheless, like I said, we're gonna have like a short little interesting Halloween episode, since the main piece is, Amemiya's Duology, Zeiram. But first off, we're gonna talk about that Bat in the Sun produced Legacy Wars short film. As I guess they're just calling it Street Fighter.
2 months to come out after it should have come out.
Wait, it was 2 months ago? Really?
It came out like a week ago, but it was like the trailer came out in like July and said, coming soon.
Expected that this thing would have been shown off at least at Power Morphicon, but no.
No.
I was expecting a lot more because like it's crazy when you think about it, because they released this the week with only I think a week or two left on the actual Street Fighter crossover in Legacy Wars, which means they're promoting it right before those characters become unavailable.
That sounds idly cockamamie when you put it in that perspective, that by the time this episode airs, it'll be within the week or of when it closes. And
actually, it's been closed already.
Yeah, so why did they release it? But what was the point of this?
The Street Fighter crossover started like April, right? And then somehow this thing only just came out now, and I'm like, why would now it's almost pointless because you're not even advertising the Street Fighter anymore.
Yeah, it's very true. So SoundOut, since you're the one who's seen it probably the most out of all of us here, give the audience a slight rundown if they have not gone and watched this video yet.
Of just what the video is.
Literally give them a good slight synopsis of what really happens in this video and how it's a giant middle finger.
Well, okay, I wasn't going to go that far, but anyways, this movie it's a short film produced by Bat in the Sun, which is Jason David Frank's drinking buddy.
We're close.
People he knows, and they produced this short with him and Ciara Hanna and a couple other actors playing Ryu and Chun-Li to promote the Power Rangers Legacy Wars Street Fighter crossover, which I guess only happened because Street Fighter and Power Rangers were having an anniversary in the same year. I really don't know the reason why beyond that. But they've had them in the game for most of the year, but like we've mentioned before, they're leaving soon because the license runs out. And so this short was to promote Legacy Wars, the game, but also to promote the Street Fighter crossover. So releasing it now seems really late in the game. But overall, it's the basic premise of let's bring the game to life via having, Power Rangers and Street Fighter characters face off. And the whole thing is pretty much just like a big old, fight sequence, very stilted dialogue, very limited plot lines, and it doesn't really connect to a whole lot besides just Legacy Wars. And it all just kind of leads into, hey, go play Legacy Wars if you want to see the story continue. But that would be nice if there was an actual story mode in the game.
I know, and the story that is set up is that Rita and Bison collaborate together to make their own evil army of Power Rangers, as if this is, Dimensions in Danger all over again.
It basically is, especially the last shot of this, where it's like, oh, we're doing the thing Captain America Civil War style, where it's just like, oh, look, two armies charging at each other, and I'm like, this shot was used in Dimensions in Danger, so...
And it doesn't help that the highlight of this video is the Street Fighter Ryu Ranger. Not Ryu Ranger from Gosei Sentai Dai Ranger, Ryu as a Dragon Ranger-esque, Falcon-looking mofo.
I really don't know why Chun-Li didn't get the same treatment, because seriously, they're like, oh yeah, we can only make one power coin, and I'm like, well, why don't you give the powers to Chun-Li, because she's cooler than Ryu. By the way, I have a weird hate for Ryu because of all the times playing Street Fighter Online where people would just play as Ryu only, and I'd spend like 3 hours playing and all I'm fighting is Ryu. It's boring. People move on to a different character, please. There are 25 characters in Street Fighter 5. Pick somebody else. Love of God, pick somebody else.
And pick Dan.
Yeah, that would be even better because there'd be some variety.
All right, so Visible Ninja. Give us your opinions on this short.
All
film.
right. I mean, it's all very slick since it is done by Bat in the Sun. In fact, JDF's Green Ranger suit is even the Bat in the Sun suit. So,
which is in the game.
Go. Which is, well, of course it's in the game, because why the hell not? But really, like I said, it is kind of slick for a short film. I mean, it does look good. Like, the effects are decent and, appropriate for what they are. My only real issue comes down to the Street Fighter characters, because I don't know what it was. I just kind of didn't buy the actors they got to play Ryu, Chun-Li, and Bison. I just kind of didn't buy it for some reason. And this isn't a, Street Fighter movie, Van Damme and Raul Julia only, like, shit either. Even though I really do love that movie. But
they should have got Mike Moe back as Ryu. He was amazing in Assassin's Fist.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, I don't want to shit talk the actors or anything, but, like, I just kind of didn't feel it personally. And I kind of agree with Soundout that it was bullshit that Chun-Li kind of didn't get powers because they could only afford to make one new suit, which is bullshit. And the Rio Ranger suit, vaguely Jetman-esque and taking the name of another previously existing, character. So, yeah, wait and do yourself to fans, boys. Yeah, like, I'm not a huge fan of the suit personally, but
it's pretty much a Jetman fused with Jew Ranger.
I really don't know why Ryu got like a bird theme.
He should have a dragon. He should have a dragon. That's what he does.
It makes more sense. Yeah, it would make more sense if he had a dragon theme.
But then he'd be too much like the God and Idol Tommy. So, excuse me, Jason David Frank.
False God.
That's the word.
And then of course it ends, with oh, ready for round 2. Then play the game to find out, which is funny because as Soundout mentioned, there's no kind of storyline to this game whatsoever. It's literally just player on player beating on each other. There's no kind
of... In a very
deep...
clunky and broken fighting mechanics.
There's no
that drives
lore.
me insane.
Like I said, there's no lore. There's no story. There's nothing. It's literally just like PvP, all the time, and no kind of, plot or anything.
It's a children's card game fused with a beat 'em up. That's surely gonna work.
Like, not to shit on Legacy Wars, because I do enjoy it to some extent, but it really has a lot of, like, the fact it's a year old and still hasn't kind of worked out the kinks is kind of sad. And part of the problem comes from the fact that the game itself is very much pay to win in the fact that all the premium characters are so much better than the basic characters.
Well, of course it is. Like, it's the typical freemium model in this day and age.
It's a goddamn mobile game. Expect that.
Yeah.
I've been playing...
You either got to grind your ass off or plunk down money.
Basically.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've been playing Marvel Contest of Champions lately, which is a different developer, but that mechanic system works really, really well. So I think that it would be interesting if Legacy Wars could just kind of flush the card system and do more of a traditional like mobile fighter, because I think that that's what's holding it back, is it makes it a very slow and methodical game that also becomes incredibly bullshit really quickly.
Oh god, yes.
So, Project, did you watch the special?
If you've seen one Bat in the Sun video, you've seen them all, so no.
Okay, well, I'm just going to ask you a question then.
Go
What's your thoughts and opinions on Jason David Frank doing everything?
Could we get somebody else? Kind of get sick of his face, because it's called retire. Maybe have somebody else.
I think Ciara Hanna is becoming the new Jason David Frank for like the new generation, and I'm okay with that.
But at least she's tolerable. She's not around for like 30 fucking years.
I think the real reason though Ciara Hanna is able to do it though is because like she seems to be kind of geeky herself, so she wants to do pet projects like this. Because I mean, like, look at the one where her and Stephen Lunsford started slapping each other over like a video game controller.
Yep.
I would pay to see Ciara Hanna slap Stephen Lunsford, even though we like him, just because it's funny.
I mean, there's a video. Go watch it. I just don't remember what it was about, where they got into an actual like joking slap fight over like a controller, like they were two kids in the back seat of a car.
Links in the descriptions.
But yeah, no, I like watching this. I gotta say, it felt like a casual Bat in the Sun, maybe a little bit cleaner than some of their, regular superpower beatdowns. Where superpower beatdowns are like one room. They actually had to try to budget to make it look like they're in different locations. I like the fact that they didn't actually go out and waste their budget to get Ninjor's shitty voice back, because I really hate Wally Wingert or whatever doing that Ninja voice.
Tim Strauss
doing that.
Hey man,
voice. It sounds really stupid. It sounds really bad.
Ninja.
I definitely think this
terrible.
Ninja voice feels like when I'm reading the Boom comics, I'm like, this is like the Ninja voice I kind of imagine.
Yeah, no, the Ninja voice in the comics probably would be that voice. I gotta say, as soon as I saw freaking Bison, I was like, why is this either just some typical overly overt steroid up, like, German, Austrian, Russian,
You're just naming white things.
I'm just saying, like, why do he look like he was trying to be like one of Hitler's super soldiers, or like what is it? What's the Captain America of Russia? Like, I was like, why is he looking like he's supposed to be like some like regular
Red Guardian?
Yeah, like he didn't feel Bison-y to me, and even though Bison's supposed to be like an allegory to all that stuff.
Did he feel Vega to you though?
No, he didn't feel like that either. No, and I know the joke you're making. I know exactly that joke with the whole name change and swaps. You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of a poor man's Vinnie Jones.
Because he's the Juggernaut bitch?
Yeah, he just looks like a poor man's Vinnie Jones, who, luckily we saw on the recent episode of Arrow. Hey!
I saw him when I watched X3 recently. No, don't ask why I did that.
I feel sorry for you. I feel so sorry for you.
Hey, I'm doing a marathon of X-Men movies leading up to Dark Phoenix. That's when I'm probably going to, just keel over.
You're going to end yourself. You're going to end it.
And then I'll be revitalized when Days of Future Past rolls around.
Or when Wolverine shows up in Avengers 4.
Or when Wolverine shows up in X-Men Apocalypse.
But yeah, no, like, it was just weird. I don't know if I can say I entirely liked it or hated it. I just feel like there were certain elements that I liked. Since it was Bat in the Sun, it's a good thing they got to use that nice, fancy, steroidy, badass Dragon Ranger suit that they made, the Green Ranger suit they got to make. Ryu, like we said earlier, why is it a Jetman fused with a Jew Ranger? And on top of that, I think the biggest complaint I got is, wow, the only people who thought maybe we should have Tommy in this special just so he can use his one-time only Hadoken were smart for once. Because, I mean, when, the Dragon Ranger uses a Hadoken back in, like 92 or 91 or 93, whatever version you're freaking want. Well, no, it'd have to be 92 or 93. But, like, he uses that move and never uses it again. And then luckily Bat in the Sun's like, oh, hey, hey, we should have him team up with Ryu because he shot a Hadouken in his first shot. So like, I mean,
Hadouken.
holy crap, it was a great idea.
Hadouken.
But yeah, no, it was just really, really funny. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, as projects, I guess when you see quite a few Bat in the Suns, you've seen them all, so why bother?
I only watch the ones that feature a Power Ranger.
It's like only 3 of them, if I recall.
Exactly. That's how I save my life.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, no, overall, like, I think the real argument of why we're talking about it is, why do you release it when the actual event ends?
Yeah, it's like literally right before the event ends, where like most people aren't gonna like. It's hard to unlock them in the game without paying money. But I feel like it's just like they waited so long to do it.
Next time they should learn, get a real company to do it for them if they want.
Yeah, when they do their Tekken crossover or their crossover with My Little Pony or whatever weird crossover comes up next.
No, the crossover is gonna be the Turtles again. Watch TMNT.
Nah, that would make sense.
Or the next crossover is gonna be with them and Injustice.
Legacy Wars X Injustice.
No. It's gonna be like the Rangers are gonna be like how the TMNT were in Injustice 2. They'll be in Injustice 3.
two what was it? You could have like the Injustice X Legacy Wars is like 2 mediocre mobile games fused together.
Oh god, that just sounds ludicrous right now.
But Injustice 3 having a Power Ranger would be amazing.
But you know which Power Ranger that would be? Green
Tommy.
Ranger, because he's so effing awesome.
He's JDF and awesome.
God,
I kind of want to throw up after saying that. I'm so sorry.
I know. I'm like, go to the corner.
Get some mouthwash.
Don't put me in the corner, coach. I can't handle the corner.
Hey, I could put you in the trunk, but Darkon's already in there.
Cut that out. Cut that out.
Anyways, we're gonna move on now to our
We're
main
gonna
topic.
get worse.
Oh no, it's gonna get worse as we're on our main topic, where we're going to be looking at 2 really like niche cult classic Keita Amemiya films. The first one of this pair is
So niche that they got licensed.
They got licensed by they got licensed via Media Blasters and Tokyo Shock. One of them was
AKA
dubbed.
the same people that licensed Kamen Rider the First.
Yeah, so one of them was dubbed, the other one wasn't. They were released in separate editions. Like you could buy Zeiram 1 on its own, you could buy Zeiram 2 on its own, or you could buy the Duology 2-pack. Now, the interesting thing about it, like I said, the first of the films was released in 91. The sequel came out in 94, and then around that time, I believe, around 94 to 96, the prequel anime came out. So Garo is not the first Amemiya treatment to get in Tokusatsu and anime. It was actually his films called Zeiram. And he did intend to actually have a follow-up film, but I think he just kind of kiboshed that idea, especially when he couldn't get the sequel made to, I believe, Cyber Ninja.
And then he was like, well, I'm going to go make a TV show that's going to be the best Tokusatsu franchise of all time.
But that was nearly about almost a decade later when he finally was able to finance a brand new show.
Yeah, because Garo wasn't until 2005.
And when you think about it, most of that stuff was all around, I would say, 89 to 95. Like, that's literally, like, right when Amemiya was like, you know what, I'm going to sit back for a while, I'm going to stop for a while, and I'm going to go rethink and reevaluate and refinance a whole new project that I can get behind and market.
I think we have several Garo projects a year, because he was probably just developing it in secret for, like, all that time, and then just, like, thrust upon the world Garo.
Well, I mean, the Butler's been there since day one, because in Zeiram 1, he's one of the stars of the goddamn series.
Right? Isn't that cool?
So, before we get in, I guess we'll address who the cast is a little bit later, so let's just get into the core of what these films are about. I guess we'll talk a bit more about actors and names a little bit more properly in due time. So, Zeiram 1 opens up with this weird kind of kaijin-like entity just unleashing mass murder, breaking out of some weird space like jail cell. And a warrant is put out for its arrest, whether dead or alive. And so it shows that this bounty hunter called Iria and her AI partner Bob are taking the case. And
is this Bob from Reboot?
No, because Bob from Reboot wouldn't get the job done.
You're not wrong.
Nope.
That guy was kind of a failure, but...
Well, he did sacrifice himself first, and then he finally got the job done, but then he was kind of...
after he fused with Glitch, because Glitch was the real hero.
Exactly. Glitch is the main character of this goddamn show.
Glitch is the character of the show.
So, the process is she takes the case and she goes right to Earth. Now the problem is, since she's like a weird space bounty hunter, Earth isn't too advanced, and so when you come to a planet like Earth or anything that doesn't have space travel, you're supposed to try to fit in with the people and not really talk to them. Keep it to a low level that they shouldn't know you're an alien and what you're doing. And so what she plans to do is, since Zeiram hasn't gotten to Earth yet, she not pretends, but she starts to set up a thing called a zone. Now the zones are called alternate dimensions. It's pretty much you scan the area that you're already located in for a mile-long radius, and then you just kind of open up a pocket dimension, kind of similar to the early Metal Heroes where they had like alternate dimensions, but it doesn't get wonky. It just looks like an uninhabited like terrain. So like you could scan a city, you could scan open fields, mountain ranges, and once it gets sucked into the zone, it may just be too stupid enough, like your criminal, to realize it's locked in an alternate dimension where you can then capture and fight the villain there. And since this Zeiram is a bioengineered organism that is just a murderous kind of thing, she just thought, that's the only thing I can do, and traps it there. Problem is, though, two electronics, I guess you would say repairmen, because the thing is supposed to be that they're supposed to be electrical technicians, but they're also repairmen at the same time, get sucked into the zone when they find out that she's been illegally tapping the city's power grid. So Kamiya is the younger member of the two. No, Kamiya actually is the main character of the two, who is actually portrayed by Gonzo's actor Yukijiro Hotaru, and he's bringing around his new assistant Teppei. And they get sucked in, so Iria has to go in to try to rescue them, but in proxy, battles Zeiram. In her first fight with Zeiram, it's actually a pretty badass tokusatsu fight. However, she kind of gets sucked back to regular reality where they're stuck in the zone, and they accidentally let Zeiram loose and are forced to fight Zeiram themselves in the zone before Iria is able to return and help them vanquish Zeiram, or so they think, because as soon as they return back to her little hideout, Zeiram breaks out yet again, reconstitutes itself into a new body, and tries to stop them from capturing it. However, Iria is lucky enough to shoot the master, I guess you would say face or head, because it's like a really little tiny organism. And when I mean tiny, it's probably no bigger than a basic like snake. Like I wouldn't know a type of snake, but let's just say it's about the size of maybe. Sana, what would you say the estimate of the head is? Like the basic opening up to like a cup, maybe, right? Like a basic.
Probably cup size.
Can of soda, like that, like this organism.
Like a good B or C.
Yeah, and it has like a serpentine, like, like shape to it, and she shoots it right in the head and kills it. And that's literally what leaves you off in the first film. But since we're going to talk about the second film, since it's practically a direct sequel taken 3 years later, the creature's core, which was presumed dead, or in the lore, is that there's multiple organisms labeled the Zeiram, is put into a robotic super soldier suit by a shadow organization. Now, the thing is, though, Iria hired some group to send her this robot, and the organization put this Zeiram, the original Zeiram, or a new Zeiram, in it, just so it would go hunt her down and kill her, even though she hired or was assigned to have this bodyguard given to her for her current mission to obtain a very rare ancient teleportation relic. However, one of her comrades, who's kind of a swarmy bounty hunter double-dealing douche, actually is setting her up so he can steal the relic, but doesn't know that this bodyguard she hired to help them reclaim the relic is going to betray them because there's a Zeiram inside and is bound to, kill both of them. At the same time, Teppei and Kamiya, since they haven't seen her in 3 years, are trying to reunite with her because Teppei's wedding is the next day and he wants her to attend the wedding. And Kamiya is finally getting back together with his estranged wife that he mentioned in the first film. Now, when the Zeiram gets there, you find out that this new Zeiram, or the original Zeiram, it's going haywire. Like, it tried to be reprogrammed or whatnot, quickly goes haywire, goes through with its main mission to kill Iria and whoever is inside the zone, because the creature itself can project everything. It is a super Terminator-like entity, and throughout the film, her, Teppei, and Kamiya are having to fight this thing hand and foot and it leads to a really weird exchange where they all use the ancient teleportation relic to teleport back to her base out of the zone. But in proxy, it comes down to choose option A or option B to restore Iria, or you accidentally restore Zeiram. However, Zeiram doesn't play that shit and tries to hijack the revival teleportation device and bring itself back before they can actually constitute Iria's body. But then, as a sign of God or whatever, she just materializes herself, shoots Zeiram to death, and the story's over. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll attend your wedding tomorrow, Tepe." And that's kind of how the movie kind of ends. It's very abrupt, but it leaves you wondering, like, is there more? And as I've said at the beginning, there was the intention to have more, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I'm going to open the floor now. Who wants to go first? Sound Out, Metal? Who wants to talk about both films? And we'll approach this discussion whichever way we can.
I must be mentally broken because these movies did not freak me out as much as they do other people.
Yeah, because this is a weird mix of tokusatsu meets J-horror, action flick, cop movie. And, like, some of the effects that Amemiya uses are very grotesque, like when the creature summons stuff out of weird egg-like grenades, when it murders one of its own minions, when it mutates itself since it's a weird bio-weapon made to either consume or assume robotic skeletons or turn itself into a new entity in its own right. So, I don't know, like continue on, Sound Out.
Yeah, I think it was really cool because it's like, I always enjoy seeing Amemiya's earlier work where, he had an obsession with doing stop motion puppets because he uses them in both movies where it's just like, he has like a monster design, it's like a physical suit, but then it evolves into something that's like this weird stop motion creature. It's really creepy and weird and it moves kind of funky. And I always appreciate that. And I like the fact that, in his later work with Garo, where he used CG to kind of get that same kind of look because he still gives it that weird movement where it's got that stop motion feel. That's the kind of stuff that I like to see in tokusatsu works for sure. But that was like my biggest takeaway was that I was like, the effects work in this is fantastic.
I guess you'll add more if we get to more. Visible Ninja, your take on it, since you and me actually sat down to watch together, where Sound Out wasn't with our little viewing party.
Oh god, overall with Zeiram, yeah, I'll agree with Sound Out in that. Looking into it, like, this movie has that reputation of being like one of these kind of very over the top, kind of gory movies, and honestly, like, I'll just kind of reciprocate what Sound Out said there. It's not overly. I mean, the stop motion effects actually are pretty well done, especially with Zeiram in his more skeletal form, or after he's been quote unquote killed and he starts to revive as this weird twisted abomination. Is definitely kind of gross, but it's not like super like gore gross. I mean, probably the goriest thing is when the head tears a patch of flesh off of one of their arms, and it actually does look fairly you can kind of tell it's fake, but it does look kind of fairly like, oh god, I bet that hurt. You know what I mean? But, and although, like I said, the special effects are pretty good, the story's not like it ain't Shakespeare. I mean,
they're very contained. Like, Amemiya has this really weird idea of containment in all of his indie films.
Yeah, he sets up, Iria is, Miss Big Bounty Hunter. She's hunting down this mysterious, Zeiram, who's, an all-powerful walking death machine. And we slowly exposit he's actually like an ancient bioweapon that, that apparently people are having trouble containing since he's, keeps killing people. And not to mention has numerous abilities as well as the fact that we later find out that Zeiram itself is actually the white, I guess you could say, worm or snake thing, and less so the actual like vaguely monk, like very like traditional Japanese monk-ish shape that we see before that. Since especially in the first battle of the first movie, he seems like he's almost wearing like the robes and like the straw hat and everything.
The tapestry, you're saying, correct?
Yeah. But then as the battles go on, we actually see more of Zeiram's actual body, and definitely sees more of some kind of a twisted kind of thing with like vaguely like spiderish mouth, and yeah, it just gets more horrifying. And especially his creations are definitely kind of like, they're gross, but it's not over the top grossness. They're definitely very stylized. And the second movie again kind of continues on, although this is a different Zeiram, I guess you could say.
It's 50-50. It's up to interpretation that it's either a new one or the original.
It's not firmly established. Like we just know that this is obviously a new body and one that seemingly is more robotic as opposed to something that's more like some kind of bioengineered weapon like the first one. But oh god, the second one definitely has better action, I think. Especially,
even had a better actual budget for her actual wardrobe when she put on her cyber armor.
Yeah, Area definitely had better. Yeah, the cyber armor definitely looked better. Like, it overall definitely seemed like it had a bit more of a budget, especially the effects and some of the fight choreography. Like probably the top moment is, Area spin kicking a missile, which is pretty awesome. And of course I guess you could say the fights with the Zeiram robot or whatever you want to call it, because yeah, it's kind of confusing.
I have a feeling that he blew most of his budget on the previous film, stop motion, and it explains why the Zeiram 2 suit was more Terminator-like, like Superbot, and like she just have like this ongoing fist fight with it for most of the film.
Hey, can we talk about the fact that there was a woman protagonist and she was the only one that could fight Zeiram properly?
Yeah, she's the only one who could physically. She even states, "Oh yeah, these Earthlings' power levels are not alien power levels where they could fight something like Zeiram." Like,
yeah,
she's
even
been
though
trained to fight other
alien
freaking creatures like
even
that.
though the two regular humans, after they kind of stumble ass backwards into the freaking kill zone, still manage to actually evade and survive Zeiram, up to and including basically backing a truck into him. And like I said, because they're pretty resourceful, and even though they're not physically strong, they could still survive against it, and that's why Area kind of has respect for them, as well as the fact they actually lend a hand during the final confrontation of the first movie.
Oh yeah, they're actually useful.
Yeah, because they actually go get the super mega ultra expensive weapon. I forgot what it was called, but yeah.
Yeah, they got her BFG pretty much when she pulls together the weird thing that looks like a giant axe, but also a weird like beam rifle out of Gundam.
Yeah, like,
and just kapowies it.
Yeah, like super expensive mega weapon.
Yeah, no, like, and it's also a cannon that she has to get registration to use. Like, she has to, even though she's a bounty hunter, she has to call the police, be like, "Yo, I gotta use this gun." And she's like, "No, I'm not even gonna call them. I'm just gonna frickin' use it. F it, Bob." And Bob's like, "I'm gonna write that down that you told me."
I guess
AI
it's
to
another
F yourself.
character we should really talk about, I guess, is Bob, since
his dub voice was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, Bob is essentially, like, he doesn't actually exist. He just exists as, like, a computer graphic on a monitor that, like, moves and everything as he speaks. And, he displays info and everything. And he's sort of the straight man, I guess you could say, to Area, who's, a bit more of a maverick. But they still, work well together and everything, so... it almost made me sad when I thought Bob died in the second movie, but then I remembered he's just a computer and he was all right. So, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like when Bob died in Reboot.
Yeah.
And no, like, here's the thing about this film. Like, I've always seen, like, the tokusatsu elements. I've always seen, like, the fights. I've always seen the stuff Zeiram had done. So going into the films, like, I've seen it a couple of times, like the first one specifically. I knew that the film itself was a very slow paced. It felt like what was, like, I guess a pretense for what Garo kind of was, where she's just a bounty hunter. She goes from mission to mission, whatever she accepts for money, and she goes down and fights whatever guy she's after, but this time it's a bioweapon that has assumed the form of, like, this super monstrous killer. Because they even show in the second film that the organism assimilates whatever it eats, and it is shown murdering and eating a dog. So... And then usually whatever it assimilates, it turns into, like, its minions, like the weird tumor frog people, or the weird slime thing, or the weird pig dog thing that I forgot Soundat mentioned the pigtail until afterwards. The dog had a pigtail for some effing reason.
Because Keita Amemiya has a wonderful imagination.
It's because it's a Shiba Inui, and they have those little, like, curly tails. That's why.
But anyways, though, this whole element, I liked the idea of what Zeiram could have been, and there's so much potential to explore more about it without having to go and spoiling the anime for people. It's a cult classic too. The anime is more better known in North America than the Tokusatsu films are, for sure. But
I definitely want to check out the anime
yeah,
after watching these.
I don't want to spoil it for Sound Out too much because I've seen bits of the episodes and I know a little bit more. But one thing I will lament is that there are slight retcons using earlier drafts of his film for the film, for the actual final draft of Zeiram, because Zeiram was supposed to be a bounty that Iria forcibly took after her brother was one of the first guys to take the bounty originally and was murdered by Zeiram, so it's a vendetta in the actual anime that ties into the films. But like I said, it uses his earlier draft, which would have made this film that was like 90 minutes long to like a two-hour movie or a 220 movie, and I don't
Which
think
there just wasn't the budget for.
Yeah, there wasn't the budget for it, and if he would have done it, he would have blown all the budget. He would not have made the sequel. So, like, I will say I prefer the iconic monk-like body of the original Zeiram in the first film, whereas the second film, being the weird murder rabbit bot, was interesting. Like, it did have awesome weapons. It had, like, machine gun in the hand, blades in the hand, buzzsaw in the hand. It had, like, weird, almost, like, several different types of Vulcan-like weapons built into its head. I love the part where literally he grabs Iria by the throat, runs her across the conveyor belt before like they burst out onto like a scaffolding, and then she uses the concealed katana and slashes it in the head as she's sliding down the side of the building's like silo. Like there's a lot of cool elements to this. Like she used a shit ton of trap grenades, spear grenades, like they're just like spikes in the ground that shoot up and like try to trap people. She had all these crazy ass types of guns. She was able to like see this creature, know where it was, avert it. I gotta say, one element that Visible Ninja did approach is the whole spinning roundhouse heel kick thing that knocks the goddamn grenade mortar shell into a tower and just blows it up. And she's like, "What, is that all you got?" I also do like the fact that in one of the fights, Amemiya recreates the fight scene from Zo where he's running across the ledge of the building and she's running across the ledge of the building as she's getting shot at. So there's a lot of cool imagery that repeats itself from Amemiya, but not in a bad way where it feels too redundant, because it's either a different angle or a different way of how he shot the angle or shot the take in general. I do heavily feel like a lot of Iria's designs either subsequently inspired other producers to use that style, like of how he depicted how her wardrobe looks for being an alien and the whole motif, because like we see something like that, like because I said the Visible Ninja that like her poncho thing kind of gives me like a Vincent Valentine kind of vibe, and that her battle armor kind of gives me a Gem Zombie Gamer before there was a Gem Zombie Gamer. So it's like, are these little things where people that were fans of Amemiya in say like Square Enix or Toei were like, hey, let's do this nod because I like this design that Amemiya made years ago. Because like a lot of people say after Ishinomori, when it comes to Toei Tokusatsu, Amemiya is like kind of one of those guys that is highly regarded, at least on the international circuit, as being a great Tokusatsu producer, director, and occasional writer. So
I love Amemiya.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like he does
so
stuff.
much.
Like I feel like he did stuff in this film that was inspired for other films, because there were elements that I heard that a lot of people took from his other independent film that I just got to see, I think for the first time almost in full, was the Cyber Ninja. I never got to see that one, but there's other films that he's done that are incredible. One thing that I often hear for like a lot of huge action buffs and Tokusatsu fans in Japan is that our protagonist, Iria, Yuko Murayama, like she had like 8 or 12 different like Tokusatsu roles, like cop movies and Tokusatsu, and they were either straight on ones that were done by Amemiya himself, that like she had a weird cult following in the 90s where a lot of people were expecting her to become a big action star, and then she just kind of like retired from acting like by 2001. She was like, I kind of don't want to do it. Like, I don't think she's taken a full retirement, but she just like stopped really like mainline acting, because don't forget, not many people write full out careers on IMDb and have the full in the know of what she actually does now. But from what I know, like,
yeah,
she had a lot of
Japan
potential.
definitely keeps the privacy of their actors.
Yeah, so like I really like watching it. She's one of these few women in power that is mesmerizing and captivating. A lot of people say that like she feels like the first, like a lot of people joke that she's the first true live adaptation of a What If of Samus Aran. Like if you were to make a live action Metroid, she'd have to be Samus in the '90s kind of thing. Like
Yeah, she would be amazing as Samus. That would be
like there's a lot of comparisons that she is literally Tokusatsu Metroid without having the full Metroid experience in the in the vibe of what Zeiram is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What's interesting too is that Zeiram, if you don't know, and I'm pretty sure some people do know this, is that Zeiram is a part of biblical scripture, most specifically, I believe, in the Mormon religion. Yeah, so Amemiya like has a lot of a literary allusions, I guess you would say, to religious moments because you have Zeiram itself, you have the whole end credits, you have how Bob kind of looks like one of those, I guess you would say like Shinto or Hindu like scepter kind of things because you see how his AI works on the screen. It has like that weird kind of like scepter kind of thing.
You also notice there's a lot of biblical references in a lot of Amemiya's work.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I don't know what his like I don't know if there's enough of like sources on the internet to explain why he does that though, because I don't know if it's just that his style or if there's like a real.
I think it's just his style. Like Go Nagai does a lot of stuff that's like mirroring the Bible. Like half of Devilman's characters are biblical names, and then there's Psycho Jenny. But like, it's kind of a thing I think to like, they use it as inspiration sometimes, just like a lot of like Western fiction does as well.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is like he likes to use a lot of interesting cinematography and style. What's interesting too is like people say that he actually published a novelization of Zeiram, but I don't know how to locate the validity of this that I'm like researching because like I've done research on the film in the past when I didn't have a copy of it, and a lot of like my sources are now missing. Like I still have like stuff that I wrote down just as story notes and other stuff like on my notepad that I've kept for a time in which I was hoping to do a podcast specifically about it, but I'm trying to look up the sources that I got it from, and a lot of them seem to either be taken down or like 504 error pages with the hosting, so I don't know anymore. But I do know that I would love to see Amemiya one day reapproach Zeiram and either reboot it completely. Like, and what I'm saying is just find a more useful cast and reshoot the first two films with the prequel in mind, so it tells a more canonical story between prequel, first film, second film, and the hinted or supposed sequels that he wanted to do.
It'd be a great way to reintroduce Zeiram to the world.
I don't think you could do it through Garo. It would be a really hard idea. Don't even try that hook, son.
I was gonna say, like, they could do a Garo special where it's like, like Zeiram is like mistaken for being a horror because of the way like Zeiram acts. It kind of
no, it is. It's very horror-esque. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
And then it's like the plot twist is like, no, it's from space, and then that like launches the new Zeiram franchise.
That would be funny because like I would love though like they purposely bring back Koga of all people, and like as a like this is a joke I told Visible Ninjas. Like if Amemiya was to reboot Zeiram, this is the thing I would want Amemiya to do, but I know he wouldn't do it. I would want him to get Yuko to portray Iria and her brother's mother. Her brother's character. Like, just bring back the actress, but you don't have to force her to be Iria again. You just make her be, like, this strong, elegant woman that was, Iria's actual mother. You have it that she trained her daughter and her son to be these badass bounty hunters, So she's still there in spirit. And since Gonzo is there, you just, like, have him just show up and, like, make the joke, like, Iria's mother shows up and goes, hey, you look like a guy I once knew.
See, there you go.
There you go. There you go.
Also, if we have a Garo special that was a collaboration with New Japan World Wrestling with Hiroshi Tanahashi as Garo, we can have anything we want.
Okay. I was like, are you trying to propose that? Because that already happened. But then you were like, if we could have something with Hiroshi Tanahashi, anything can happen. Oh, great! Now we're gonna see Garo. We're gonna see in the Garo anime. What is it? Cyber Future Ninja return and go crossover with Garo. Because Amemiya keeps like. Because this is a funny thing. People that know Amemiya have been talking that he wants to do a sequel. Amemiya himself mentioned he wants to do a sequel, and I know for a fact that this isn't just bullshit and rumors, because I've known a guy who's met Amemiya several times, and he stated, no, Amemiya wants to make a sequel to one of his other 90s films. And so that means, like, I'm pretty sure Amemiya's, like, just sitting around going, either I'm going to make a sequel, or I'm just going to reboot the freaking thing somehow, some way, or form. Because I feel like...
He needs to take the Garo money and apply it appropriately.
Yeah, like, I feel like in his mindset, he's like, I need to get more money, so I need to make more Garo. And then I'm going to make more Z-Rams. I'm going to make more ninja stuff. I'm going to make more Tokusatsu. And then the next thing, it's like, we're just sitting there like, too much Tokusatsu. How am I going to have enough time to watch it all?
I know, I'm still trying to catch up on Garo.
Yeah, no, so, like, that's the thing, is, like, it's one of those things where, like, it's one of those ones where it's, like, the movie's so well constructed, and you don't get too much character development. Like, I feel like a lot of the more touching moments is in the first film, where Iria's forced to, like, have to be nice to the guys, and, like, get to know them to convince them, we need to work together, or you will die in the zone. And then there's the whole element of Teppei and Kamiya being, Kamiya's, like, the senpai to Teppei, but they're, like, kind of, like, in this situation where, like, they kind of don't know much about each other. He's, like, the hardened old guy at the job kind of thing, and he's the younger guy. And so, like, they kind of, like, have a weird
I just realized
friendship
you
work.
said die in the zone, and I just realized that's what Transformers did in Japan.
That's a bad joke.
I know, but isn't it just beautiful?
But yeah, no. But, like, the thing that I'm trying to say is that, like, they had a weird friendship. Like, in the first film, they didn't seem like much of friends. But then in the second film, ever since that night they had, being trapped with Iria to the death with Z-Ram, the next one is like, hey, man, I really want you to come to my wedding. I can't. Why is that? And then he's like, the real reason is I'm getting back together with my estranged wife from 3 years ago. And I'm like, wow, this is actual, like, I feel like if you shortened down the two films, like, just a little bit, but left in those moments, you would feel like it was more substance, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, it's so few and far between when you have those moments where it's about two kind of bum-looking, electronic men, like electronics and electricians, just showing up like, yeah, we kind of got caught into an effed up situation. And then Iria's just running around going, badass, what you gonna do? Like she's just running around like, what are you gonna do? You gonna fuck with me? Nah, you ain't gonna fuck with me, I'm gonna fuck with you.
And you just got us banned from YouTube again.
No, I didn't. I didn't get us banned from YouTube. I'm not like Visible Ninja talking about, Victory Gundam episode 29.
I'm gonna get banned just because I say the word Gundam too much.
Probably. Visible Ninja, do you have anything else to add to this whole, like, fiasco of the film? And the stories from thus far?
Not really. Like, these are just some pretty damn solid movies, I thought, that were actually quite enjoyable. So I would definitely recommend people take a look at it, especially if you like, the likes of Garo. You might enjoy yourself.
All right, and with that, so overall, I can say that we both, or I shouldn't say both, we all three of us liked the films. We enjoyed it. We will actually.
Hey, Discotech or somebody, get us a Blu-ray.
Yes. Because there is a Blu-ray out in Japan, so it's possible for you to get us something, Discotech maybe, or Kraken releasing.
Somebody
Somebody
Kraken.
say.
Actually, right now I want Kraken just to release another Garo thing. It's been a few months and they've been quiet.
But here's another thing. It'd be funny if, like, Kraken was like, oh yeah, we got everything that Media Blast has released that was released through, like, Amemiya's film. So it'd be like, we got Hakaider, we got Z-Ram 2. We got the,
$12.99 Blu-rays for everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd buy it. Or no, they just do a collection. It's like the Amemiya collection. It's like every film he made.
Oh my god.
Every indie film in one slam pack jams freaking thing. But no. Anyways, though, I want to wrap it up saying it's a good film. Check it out. You can still probably get the first film on DVD through some anime and Japanese film distributors, either on Amazon or stuff like Right Stuff. In addition, the films have been, unfortunately, illegally uploaded to YouTube, where that's where some people I know have seen it, and that's how actually I got to see the first film for the first time. But there are also actual people that are trying to become legit streaming services or legit streamers online that also stream the film on a monthly to yearly basis, so you have a chance. You still have a chance to see it if there's no physical release for you. And with that, though, we will look at, actually on this show, Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu Iria, the animation, in the near future when we have the time to do so. And then following that, we'll sort of slowly venture into Garo animes as well from time to time, since they were, sequels of or spin-offs of a tokusatsu product, meaning we can talk about it on this show. And with that, our episode is practically almost over, so before we really, really wrap up the show and say our goodbyes, just got a weird actual last-minute discussion topic with you guys, since this is our Halloween episode. Have you ever gone out on Halloween as, most specifically, a tokusatsu hero? Like, have you actually dressed up as one, whether it be a, bought Power Ranger suit, or did you try to make a pseudo-esque cosplay of another tokusatsu hero?
I once wore the Forza driver to high school.
Oh, you wild man.
But anything specific or particular?
The only ones I've done outside of wearing henshin belts is like I've done like a Casey Jones cosplay, kind of like for Halloween. But that's not Toku, that's Ninja Turtles. But that one's easy, so that's why.
Because I'm pretty sure all of us can say we've done regular superheroes like Spider-Man, Batman. But I was wondering, did anyone actually get the Power Ranger suits that were made as a kid?
Oh, I was In Space Red and King Ranger.
You had the rare Zeo Gold one. I couldn't find that one as a kid growing up.
I still have the mask somewhere.
All right, so Visible Ninja, what were you saying though?
When I was 6, my mom made me a Godzilla outfit for Halloween, and that's about the closest it comes. I never had any of the store-bought Power Rangers ones. I did have like Darth Vader and Batman and stuff, but I never had a Power Rangers one. And like I said,
but you had a Godzilla one. That sounds awesome.
Homemade Godzilla costume when I was 6.
Wore a Godzilla tail and stomped around a city at Fox Kids World back in the 90s.
Rad.
All right. For me particularly, like I said, I never found like the Power Ranger suits that I wanted as a kid growing up, which was like the Zeo Gold. I was always kind of jealous when kids had them and I couldn't find them in my stores, so that was kind of annoying. But what I did have when I was like 2 or it had to be 3 or 4, because somehow the suit that my grandmother made fit me till I was at least 5, and she did like technically her best, because what I can remember from the photos, even though it was mostly made from felt and like I think like it was like a hard material that wasn't like plaster or like mache, but it kind of was a little bit stiff to make like slightly armor, so like maybe it was like plastic, like maybe she actually used plastic containers and like actually did maybe use paper mache. I don't really remember clearly, but she tried her best to actually make me a superhuman samurai cyber squad servo outfit.
Gridman.
Yeah, so irony was Gridman, man. I bled Gridman, even though at the time it was Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. For some reason, as a kid, I was really addicted to the show until I went back and watched it, and it's like a gargled mess. Like, I don't know why. I just don't really like that show that much. I like Gridman more. The anime, I don't know yet. I'm gonna keep watching it just for the sake of watching it, but I don't know. But I had a in quotations, a Gridman costume when I was a kid, and it's ironic. Ever since I was a kid, I was mostly into kaiju and Ultramen, so that's just the thing. So Visible Ninja was a Godzilla. I was technically an Ultra Hero, even though I was not technically a main Ultra Hero since I was a spin-off with Gridman. And Sound Out at one time was a Power Ranger. So we got most of the bases covered. I also should
mention that I was also Mr. Freeze every night for like a year, because I had Mr. Freeze pajama onesie based on the Batman the Animated Series. And now thinking back to that, that's the weirdest thing to ever exist.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of weird things that shouldn't exist. I know Product's here. Product, did you ever do Halloween and be a Power Ranger, Kamen Rider, Metal Hero, or whatnot? No? Yes? Dead?
I don't have to celebrate Halloween, Wheels. I am a Kamen Rider.
Here we go again.
It's okay. I'm a Makai Knight, so...
There you go. See, because me and Sandra have been longtime friends. Sorry, Wheels.
Shut the fuck up!
Oh, I technically went as a Makai Knight last Halloween to like a Halloween party, which was called I wore a leather jacket and wore my Zarubo ring.
Dude, you just need a white trench coat and you're good.
Hey,
I mean, it was a black short jacket, and it kind of looked like the one that like Sword wore in like a few episodes of Vanishing Line.
Found out. I mean, at least next year, since I have like a nice red flannel shirt and I have a basic white T-shirt and some like pseudo cargo
Here we
pants
go.
and jeans. Yeah, I could just go as Godai next Halloween with my.
Have you ever decided to do the easiest cosplay or the easiest Halloween costume ever for you?
If you're gonna say Professor X, I will shoot you.
I was gonna say the Chief from Doom Patrol.
No, because I didn't like. Even though I was like, I think I've told you this, but I don't remember exactly. Having been a fan of DC and Marvel, the Doom Patrol, while they may have been in some of the comics I've owned or some of the storylines I followed as a kid growing up, I didn't have much knowledge of who the hell they were, so I probably only knew of Professor X as the only guy in a wheelchair in comics that wasn't Barbara.
You can also be Spotswood from Team America in his chair.
No, because then I need to like just get the actual guy who voiced him, which was Darren Norris, to like provide fake audio lines that I can pre-record and have ready saying Darkon, go F yourself.
So you could be the Chief next year because it'll be cool with Timothy Dalton playing the Chief.
I know, and he's one of my favorite Bonds next to what's his face? God, why can't I think of his name? Visible Ninja. Which Bond is my other favorite one?
Roger Moore?
No.
Brosnan?
Yeah, Brosnan. I don't know why I always forget
I was gonna
his
say
name.
Lazenby.
I always forget Pierce. I always forget Pierce Brosnan.
Is George Lazenby anybody's favorite Bond?
Nope.
I'm sure he must be somebody's.
Because every character is a favorite of somebody's.
Well, yeah, like I said, he must be somebody's, but that's off topic.
I feel like
the person's seen one Bond movie. It's on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I do feel like though, before we wrap this up, that we should try to one year when we record our Halloween episode in following years, we should actually all try to dress up as something and take a photo of us like in the Skype call just to put as the photo on the episode when people are watching.
Seriously speaking, I could probably do the Casey Jones again. I'm
just saying, like, just dress up either as a Tokusatsu character or a hero in general. Like, we're all just like dressed up, and then there's just Project holding a Kuga belt, and we're like, probably you actually have to wear it, and it's just like holding it, like no F's given, just holding it.
The only reason why I would be holding a Kuga belt is when I'm throwing it in the garbage.
Not a Kuga, a Kabuto or whatever.
Wheels, why would I have to wear a Kabuto belt?
Because it's garbage.
The reason why Casey Jones always works for me is because it's A, easy to pull off, and B, I have the build for it.
Wait, you don't look like Stephen Amell.
Not that Casey Jones.
Ah, you mean the shitty one from the 90s.
No, I was talking about the comic one, but yeah.
Oh, the comic one. I don't know.
Like the IDW comic one.
I don't know. Project, can you confirm or deny?
You know what? Because he's my longtime friend of many years, yes. The answer is yes.
Anyways, though, like I said, one day we'll do for the Halloween episode. Possibly you'll see us all dressed up as something, probably for a future episode. Not this year, but next year. Maybe, or the year after, who knows? Whenever we can actually perfectly time this shit. So
we never time anything. What are you talking about?
We never do. Anyways, this is
What are you spouting lies for?
Because I'm trying to look casually professional? I don't know. Who knows anymore? Anyways, we're going to wrap up our Halloween episode, which is probably our second ever Halloween episode. I don't even think. Did we have a Halloween episode? I don't even know anymore.
Why am I here? Why am I being held against my will inside like this?
I was gonna say, is your name Darkon, and are you in a trunk? No, so you're not being held against your will.
You know what? I don't know where I am right now. I'm just listening to Garo music because Zeiram got me in the mood.
So anyways, like I said, this is our Halloween episode. And we'll see you all next week with episode 63, since, we're on 62 episodes as of right now. And also go check out our other podcast, Mike and Mike in the Morning. It will
Starring
surely
me.
delight you. and Janitor Joker, who's not here, so that means we won't have an episode following this week's episode. But
we kind of trapped ourselves with that show, didn't we?
You did trap yourselves. It only depends on if both of you are here. Dun dun dun, but we'll see you all next week for Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. Hey, it's Wheelchair21, and thanks again for listening to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. If you want to hear more content or see more content from the Hero Club YouTube channel, we're going to need you to subscribe, like, comment with some feedback, and share this channel with a friend. We also would like you to check out our website, hero-club.com, and follow us on various social media outlets just by looking up Hero Club for Life, as well as the stores you see are where we shop. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.